Welcome back to my channel and yet another video in the series of UFO stories from Norway and Sweden. So this one is from Sweden and it's called Swedish Air Force Colonel Reports 6 Delta UFOs. This is an excerpt from a Swedish author, Mr. Boris Ljungqvist's book. His book is called UFO, A Fantastic Reality. In August 1976, I was contacted by telephone by a lieutenant colonel of the Swedish Air Force. It is his wish to remain anonymous before the public at large. Somewhat sketchy, he told me a fantastic UFO experience he had witnessed only about a week ago. He was unwilling to detail his story during our telephone conversation, but promised to visit me a few weeks later as he was planning a stay in Stockholm. At his visit, he told me the following story. The headline is Dragon Fighters or ? During a routine flight in my G-35, I spotted what I first took to be 6 other G-35s flying in a flank formation at a distance of about 7,000 meters. It was 10:17 hours in the morning and I was over Lake Bolmen, a province of Småland, cruising at 12,000 meters altitude. The formation approached quickly on a countercourse from the left and at an altitude of some 11,500 meters. I estimated their speed as maybe Mach 2, twice the speed of sound. Immediately I realized that these objects were no G-35s. All of a sudden the formation's speed was reduced to about 500 km per hour as they passed my field of vision at a distance of some 2,000 meters. The whole formation made a second fast 90-degree turn. Simultaneously, there was a regrouping of the objects into a circle formation. As the formation's speed reduced, I was able for a few seconds from my higher flight altitude to have a close study of their exteriors. They were delta-shaped, with a fin-like structure at the tail. They were silver-colored. In the next moment, the 6 objects made a banking maneuver and disappeared with an enormous acceleration, rising into a southerly direction. As they made the immense change of speed to about Mach 2, their color changed into a phosphorus shine. No radar returns. The formation had only passed when I called my traffic control via my radio. The nearby radar station had not indicated the presence of these objects on their scopes. Due to laws of military secrecy, I cannot disclose the exact position or capacity of this radar station. Traffic control reported no civilian or military units in the sector at the moment. The whole sighting had lasted for only about 7 or 8 seconds. A restated position on UFOs. I have thousands of flight hours in prop as well as jet-driven aircrafts. I have never before experienced anything like this. I have seen notes in the press about so-called flying saucers without taking much notice about them. Often I have smiled at such stories, believing them to be a myth. Now, having observed these objects, I have restated my position. I think that UFOs really exist as a physical objects. In my judgments, I put the emphasis especially on the aerodynamic design of the objects. What caught me was the fast, sharp turn connected to a simultaneous regrouping from flank to circle formation, and then the sudden acceleration. This was a completely unique experience in my many years of service with the Air Force. Due to my lacking experience in this field, I refrain from stating any general conclusions. Thus ends the report of the colonel. Answering my detailed questions while in my home, he made the following comments. He was so surprised that he couldn't bring himself to call traffic control while the objects were still in sight. For military reasons, he couldn't give the exact date of the sighting, nor the name of the Air Force base where he serves. He refuses to divulge whether there was any report filed with the Research Institute of National Defense, FOA, or other military authorities. On the other hand, as the incident was of such remarkable nature, he wanted very much to file a report with the civilian UFO group. The reason for his wish to remain anonymous was self-evident, and the weather was fair and with good visibility, only a few cirrus clouds on the western horizon. Comments are surplus. This experienced Air Force pilot sighted a UFO formation on his sunny summer's day. There is no alternative explanation. This case is represented as number 480 in AFU's Sweet Cat example for statistical studies. Okay, the Swedish colonel reported this incredible experience. It kind of reminds me about the first so-called flying saucer sighting. It also was sighted by a pilot, Kenneth Arnold, right? I guess he was the one that framed the name flying saucers. As he commented that he also saw several interesting aircrafts in formation, and they moved like they were skipping on water, like saucers skipping on water. Interesting stuff. Maybe they came back. Alright, now I'll go straight to the next story, and this is called 4 Policemen Photograph a Close Encounter. This is a good one. It's also from Sweden, and the author of this report is a journalist and manages the UFO Sweden Report Center. So always, police reports are interesting. They are what I call trained observers. Alright, let's start the story. The following incident took place southeast of Stockholm in the early 70s. One of the witnesses, who is now on police duty at another location in South Sweden, says, "At the time I was with the police force of Handen, south of Stockholm. Late one evening in the fall, I received a call from police headquarters requesting me to take part in a search for an old man who had disappeared. I joined in, and after a briefing with the search command, we left for the terrain near Tungelstad, 20 kilometers east of Södertälje. This area has a narrow net of small roads. With a colleague, I drove slowly through the district. After a while, we rendezvoused with another police car at a crossroads, and all 4 of us got out of the vehicles to stretch our legs for a while. Standing there, we suddenly see a powerful light source between the tree trunks. A strongly brilliant object comes gliding at the low level, finally to stop at a distance. The object, which was discoid, radiated an enormously strong white light which lit up all of our surroundings. I could almost see every needle on the trees, although it was a dark October night. Air around the luminous disk trembled and steamed as if the object was heated. For how long we stood there completely paralyzed, I don't know. Suddenly, however, one of my comrades regained his self-command, stretched his hand through the side window, and put on the roof searchlight. At the very same moment the object started to move. Slowly it tilted on its edge, and now we could see the metallic structure of its surface. The disc was about 20 meters in diameter. Then it slowly glided over a nearby field. Another of my colleagues broke out of his paralysis, threw himself into the car and took out the camera, which is a standard equipment in all our cars. He ran after the object a while and then took several pictures in close sequence. A while later, the object disappeared out of view. The October darkness was once more with us. Excited, we contacted our communication radio, the Handen headquarters, and informed them about our sighting. Police HQ, in turn, contacted the military since the area is crammed with defense installations like the Navy base on the Muskö Island. We were ordered back to the station to report on what had happened. So far, the words of our anonymous witness. But the following facts remain to be told. The film was developed, but according to the policeman, it was totally destroyed. This, of course, would be quite natural since the object was so brilliant, but the fact that none of the 4 men were allowed to view the developed film make room for other theories. According to police management, the UFO had not been registered on military radar scopes. We are all left with the cold facts. 4 policemen watch an unidentified object at a very close quarters. For quite a considerable time, they are permitted to examine the phenomenon, but can't explain what they see. And finally, their superiors ask them to keep silent. It's an order none of the policemen dare to break even today. Although there have been recent contacts between the 4, they have not become united as to coming out of anonymity. The old man was found in good health later in the night. His disappearance had nothing whatsoever to do with the UFO. And the source of this is UFO Sverige, Aktuelt, number 1, 1981, volume 2, page 19 to 20. And here we have a little map. We see area of the police sighting. So, this was a really good sighting with policemen involved watching the object, but told to keep their mouth shut about it. And also the pictures and the film, it was told them that the film was destroyed, so there was nothing to see. Pretty strange. Alright, that concludes the Nordic UFO newsletter stories for the 1981 second edition. The next edition is the 1982 Nordic UFO close encounters and sightings. And the next story is titled Slowly the red-white ball came closer. This is about a really mysterious UFO event that occurred over a forest lake in Sweden. So, come back for that one. Take care.